All right, 3:58. We're going to be live in 2 minutes. This is Faceman, your friendly neighborhood contrarian. We are live on Twitch, waiting for Trump to begin his immigration announcement. Will he, give in to the Democrats? Have the Democrats come with a deal? Is he going? What is he going to do? Is he going to announce the national emergency that he was talking about before? He said he would declare. He said that it was an option that's on the table. He might declare a national emergency, which means the Department of not right now, Roscoe. Which means the Department of Defense would be paying for the wall. The Department of Defense, they get about what is it, 700 something billion? Department of Defense budget. Why now when I'm trying to do something you want to play? But then he's asleep most of the day. It's like when I start doing something, then my dog wants to play. All right, 3:59 should be starting pretty soon. Okay. So almost 700. 639 billion. 639 billion. For 2019, what is it going to be? Whatever. Hundreds of billions of fucking dollars. Way more than you really need to be spending on the military. I know I should have gave him a chew tool. His chew stick. So yeah, so this might be that announcement that that announcement that he's going to declare a national emergency. So we're just waiting right now. Something that's been trending on Twitter is a video of like a Native American who's like, just chanting a little bit and playing on his drum. And he's got a lot of mostly white people, Trump supporters, who are probably from this Catholic school in Kentucky, and they're kind of just mocking him, I guess, and, trying to carry him and this goes to show like the ignorance in our schools, like the founding of this country. All the facts they don't tell you in school. Because America, the victors write the history books, right? So you're not going to get the full Native American perspective necessarily. This happens sometimes with Mozilla. We have to switch to another freaking because I just have that sometimes. You need a quick second? Yes, please. What happened? You late, homie? What's going on? Play with me after I'm done doing this. All right, where's the president? 4:03. You're running late.
Jill, we're just hearing the vice president with him. Just the vice president with the president.
It's amazing. I have not asked that question.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
I wonder how long this is gonna be. Watch it be like a 15-minute thing. I really doubt he's gonna go in too much in detail. There's a couple videos I've seen on YouTube that we're going to talk about on the Sunday morning show regarding Trump. That should be pretty interesting. Oh, hey, what's up, man? How are you? Thank you for joining in. I'm just hopping online real quick to cover the immigration announcement that Trump is about to make. He's supposed to go live right now. It's 4:04. He said 4 p.m. So we're just waiting on him. So I'm wondering if this is the announcement for, because he had said one of the options was he might declare a national emergency and use Pentagon funding to start construction on the wall. So I'm thinking it might be that. I doubt he came to any kind of compromise with the Democrats. But we'll see. We'll see whenever he shows up to speak. So I'm guessing this will run for maybe like 20 minutes. That's about it. I'll continue the conversation tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time on the Sunday morning show, which I do every Sunday at 10 a.m. But how's everything with you, Anime? Did you fix the computer situation? Because last time I checked in, like it was like a slideshow. It was pretty. I don't know how you play like that, bro. Don't get me wrong. Like back in the day, I used to deal with all kinds of. Of course, 56K, of course. That alone was horrible. I remember playing Diablo 2 on 56K. Oh man, that thing would chug all the time. But I don't know, man. I can't tolerate that anymore. Like, my games have to run smooth. Like, I don't care if I have to lower the settings to the lowest, but as long as the frame rate's good, it's more watchable. This guy is running late. What the heck? He announced, he's the one that announced the time. He's running late. When did he announce the time? He tweeted this out like an hour ago. Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, there's a couple of videos that I watched that were pretty interesting. I'm gonna cover on the Sunday morning show, and I've been thinking more about this whole wall thing, and initially I was somewhat understanding about it because I do feel we need border security, but the more I think about it, the more I think that the wall might be not to keep people out, but to keep people in. Because, America is not liked around the world. Not just for not just other people that see our government doing horrible things, but the powers that be outside of the United States. For example, here we go. Here it is.
Just a short time ago, I had the honor of presiding over the swearing in of 5 new great American citizens. It was a beautiful ceremony and a moving reminder of our nation's proud history of welcoming illegal immigrants from all over the world into our national family. I told them that the beauty and majesty of citizenship is that it draws no distinctions of race or class or faith or gender or background. All Americans, whether first generation or 10th generation, are bound together in love and loyalty, friendship and affection. We are all equal. We are one team and one people, proudly
sound is
saluting
not
one
loud enough.
great American flag.
I think it should be okay.
We believe in a safe and lawful system of immigration, one that upholds our laws, our traditions, and our most cherished values. Unfortunately, our immigration system has been badly broken for a very long time. Over the decades, many presidents and many lawmakers have come and gone, and no real progress has been made on immigration. We are now living with the consequences, and they are tragic, brought about by decades of political stalemate, partisan gridlock, and national neglect. There is a humanitarian and security crisis on our southern border that requires urgent action. Thousands of children are being exploited by ruthless coyotes and vicious cartels and gangs. 1 in 3 women is sexually assaulted on the dangerous journey north. In fact, many loving mothers give their young daughters birth control pills for the long journey up to the United States because they know they may be raped or sexually accosted or assaulted. Nearly 50 migrants a day are being referred for urgent medical care. Vast quantities of lethal narcotics are flooding through our border and into our communities, including meth, cocaine,
So
heroin,
maybe
and
talk to the
fentanyl.
CIA to have them stop.
Drugs kill
cartels.
78,000 Americans a year and cost our society in excess of $700 billion. Heroin alone kills 300 Americans a week, 90% of which
That's the
comes
thing, because the
across
CIA helps
our southern border.
run the
We can
drugs,
stop
helps run the
heroin.
guns.
Illegal immigration reduces wages and strains public services. The lack
Think about
of
Fast and Furious, that whole
control
operation.
provides
running
a
guns.
gateway, a very wide and open gateway for criminals and gang members to enter the United States, including the criminal aliens who murdered a brave California police officer only a day after Christmas. I've gotten to know and love angel moms, dads, and family who lost loved ones to people illegally in our country. I want this to end. It's got to end now. These are not talking points. These are the heartbreaking realities that are hurting innocent, precious human beings every single day on both sides of the border. As a candidate for president, I promised I would fix this crisis, and I intend to keep that
Bring
promise
the troops
one
home,
way
put them by the
or the
border.
other.
You don't have
Our
to build a wall.
immigration system should be the subject of pride, not a source of shame, as it is all over the world. Our immigration system should be the envy of the world, not a symbol of disunity and dysfunction. The good news is these problems can all be solved, but only if we have the political courage to do what is just and what is right. Both sides in Washington must simply come together, listen to each other, put down their armor,
So he's not
build
announcing
trust,
national emergency.
reach across the aisle, and find solutions. It is time to reclaim our future from the extreme voices who fear compromise and demand open borders, which means drugs pouring in, human trafficking, and a lot of crime. That is why I am here today, to break the logjam and provide Congress with a path forward to end the government shutdown and solve the crisis on the southern border. If we are successful in this effort, we will then have the best chance in a very long time
I'm looking
at
forward to
real
the questions. I hope you allow us to do
bipartisan
questions.
immigration reform. And it won't stop here. It will keep going until we do it all. The proposal I will outline today is based on, first and foremost, on input from our border agents and Homeland Security professionals, and professionals they are. They know what they're doing. It is a compassionate response to the ongoing tragedy on our southern border. In recent weeks, we have met with large numbers of Democrat lawmakers to hear their ideas and suggestions. By incorporating the priorities of rank-and-file Democrats in our plan, we hope they will offer their enthusiastic support, and I think many will. This is a common-sense compromise both parties should embrace. The radical left can never control our borders. I will never let it happen. Walls are not immoral. In fact, they are the opposite of immoral because they will save many lives and stop drugs from pouring into our country. Our plan includes the following: $800 million in urgent humanitarian assistance, $805 million for drug detection technology to help secure our ports of entry, an additional 2,750 border agents and law enforcement professionals, 75 new immigration judge teams to reduce the court backlog of, believe it or not, almost 900,000 cases.
That's very necessary.
However,
because
the whole concept of having lengthy trials for anyone who sets one foot in our country unlawfully must be changed by Congress. It is unsustainable. It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Few places in the world would even consider such an impossible nightmare. Our plan includes critical measures to protect migrant children from exploitation and abuse. This includes a new system to allow Central American minors to apply for asylum in their home countries and reform to promote family reunification for unaccompanied children, thousands of whom wind up on our border doorstep. To physically secure our border, the plan includes $5.7 billion for a strategic deployment of physical barriers, or a wall. This is not a 2,000-mile concrete structure from sea to sea. These are steel barriers in high-priority locations. Much of the border is already protected by natural barriers such as mountains and water. We already have many miles of barrier, including 115 miles that we are currently building or under contract. It will be done quickly. Our request will add another 230 miles this year in the areas our border agents most urgently need. It will have an unbelievable impact.
I read somewhere.
If we build a powerful and fully designed see-through steel barrier on our southern border, the crime rate and drug problem in our country would be quickly and greatly reduced. Some say it could be cut in half. Because these criminals, drug smugglers, gangs, and traffickers do not stop at our border. They permeate throughout our country,
Apparently a lot of them
and they end up in some
ports of
places
entry,
where
with
you'd least expect
drugs
it.
hidden
They
in
go
the cars.
all over our country. A steel barrier will help us stop illegal immigration while safely directing commerce to our lawful ports of entry. Many of these security ideas have been proposed by Democrats themselves,
This is
and
true.
all of them have been supported by Democrats in the past, including a physical barrier wall or fence. Furthermore, in order to build the trust and goodwill necessary to begin real immigration reform, there are two more elements to my plan. Number one is 3 years of legislative relief for 700,000 DACA recipients brought here unlawfully by their parents at a young age many years ago. This extension will give them access to work permits, Social Security numbers, and protection from deportation, most importantly. Secondly, our proposal provides a 3-year extension of temporary protected status, or TPS. This means that 300,000 immigrants whose protected status is facing expiration will now have 3 more years of certainty,
kind of sounds like he's
so
giving
that
the
Congress
Democrats
can
what they
work
want,
on
at
a
least some
larger
of it.
immigration deal, which everybody wants,
Other than
Republicans and Democrats. And our farmers and vineyards won't be affected because lawful and regulated entry into our country will be easy and consistent. That is our
Hey, what's up,
plan.
Ziggy?
Border security, DACA, TPS, and many other things. Straightforward, fair, reasonable, and common sense with lots of compromise. Senate Majority Leader
Sounds
Mitch
like he's
McConnell
compromising a
has
bit there.
pledged to bring this bill to a vote this week in the United States Senate. Our proposal is not intended to solve all of our immigration challenges. This plan solves the immediate crisis, and it is a horrible crisis. It is a humanitarian crisis like we rarely see in our country. And it provides humanitarian relief, delivers real border security, and immediately reopens our federal government. If we are successful in this effort, then we can start the border project of remaking our immigration system for the 21st century. Once the government is open and we have made a down payment on border
The
security,
Democrats probably should just
and
agree to this
immigration
already
reform
because
starts
food
to
stamps are about to
happen,
get cut off. for a
I
bunch of
plan
people.
to convene weekly
And that is
bipartisan
pretty much
meetings at the White House
guaranteed to cause
so we can do a
riots.
finished product, a great product, a product that we can all be proud of having to do with that elusive immigration problem. Whatever we do, I can promise you this: I will never forget that my first duty and ultimate
And the wall,
loyalty
you know, even
is
if
to
they
you,
did start, well, you said
the American people.
They're building like
Any
100 miles of it
reforms
already.
we make to
I
our
mean, it'll
immigration
not get,
system
it won't get finished by
will
the
be
time this
designed
turns up
to
anyway.
improve
So
your
the
lives,
Democrats might as well just
make
go ahead
your
and just
community safer,
get the government
and
open up
make
again
our
for
nation
the
more prosperous
federal
and secure
employees and
for
people
generations to come.
who
Thank
have
you,
become
and God bless
dependent on
America.
the food stamps
Thank
and
you.
all that, all the other benefits. Are you gonna take questions? Oh, come on, man, take some questions. That's it, bruh. Really? How long was that? That was like 20 minutes. Just what I thought. But I thought he would take some questions. What the hell? All right, well, I guess we'll see. He mentioned $800 million in humanitarian relief. He mentioned about 805 million. I think I heard that correctly. 805 million in anti-drug trafficking measures. He said like 3,000. They'll start the process for admitting the 3,000 DACA folks or whatever. What else did he say? And the temporary status. He's gonna extend the temporary status for like 3 years. I mean, I don't know. That sounds like a pretty good deal to me. As far as like, you know, what the Democrats were looking for. You know. Those he like? What are you saying, bro? Dope. I don't even know what you just typed, Ziggy. anyways, will the Democrats accept this deal? I don't know, because they've been pretty pretty adamant about not accepting the wall. I'm pretty sure they said they would never accept the wall or some shit like that. Let's see. Let's see. Did he ever say that? What does Schumer say?
Going to take you straight to the floor of the United States Senate. The Democratic leader Chuck Schumer speaking on this big impasse over whether there'll be a government shutdown.
Of what's undoubtedly the
But you see, the thing is, Schumer is flip-flopped on a lot of things, including immigration. So, I mean, him having said that he would never agree to the wall doesn't really mean anything. But anyway,
most chaotic presidency ever in the history of the United States. The Secretary of Defense, one of the only, and likely Afghanistan, abandoning our coalition's allies and the Kurds, and surrender to the United Nations, of Interior Secretary flux. The institutions of our government lack steady and experienced leadership, and even without communication between relevant departments, and it's making the United States less prosperous.
okay, let's go back to that meeting that they had. We covered that on a previous episode of the Sunday Morning Show, but I think we should look at that again. What the hell? I hate when they do this. You can't just edit it. Oh, so sorry for that.
Down. Let's take a look at the Oval Office and the drama unfolding.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a great honor to have Nancy Pelosi form something that people say the Republicans. We have great Republican support. We don't have Democrat support. But we're going to talk about
Anime, what happened was Trump offered a deal to the Democrats. Sounds like he's compromising on what they asked for as far as DACA. He's saying the package would include $800 million in humanitarian relief, $805 million in anti-drug trafficking. That I think he said something along the lines of amnesty for like 3,000 DACA recipients, or like starting the pathway to citizenship. And he's going to extend the temporary status of immigrants, whichever immigrants have a temporary status. He's going to extend it by 3 years. It seems like it's a deal that the Democrats should accept, being that the shutdown is going to negatively affect a lot of people. It's already negatively affecting the federal workers. And the SNAP benefits, the food stamp benefits, are set to, the budget is set to run out by February. So, it's in my belief that if the SNAP benefits were to get cut off, we would have a lot of riots, a lot of crime, because when humans don't have anything to eat, they get desperate and do whatever they need to do to eat. So he didn't take any questions, and right now I'm thinking, I'm wondering if the Democrats will accept the deal. So I'm just looking back to this meeting here that he had with Pelosi and Schumer about a month ago.
that now. We're going to see one thing that I do have to say is tremendous amounts of wall have already been built, and a lot of wall when you include the renovation of existing. We might as well start, because it's we have to. Importantly, our military went in and they did an incredible job.
Go back to see what Pelosi and
we
Schumer
may
had
not
said
have an
about
agreement today. We probably won't.
From my memory, I think they had said like, "Oh, you'll never get the wall," or blah blah.
But we have an agreement on other things that are really good.
Needs of the American people. I think the American people recognize that we must keep government open, that a shutdown is not worth anything, and that you should not have a Trump shutdown. You have the White House, the Trump shutdown. You have the White House. You have the Senate. You have the House of Representatives. You have the votes. You should pass it
No, we
right
don't have the
now.
votes, Nancy, because in the Senate we need 60 votes.
No, but in the House.
And we don't
you
have.
could bring it up right now.
Yeah, but I
today.
can't, excuse me, but I can't get it passed in the House if it's not going to pass in the Senate. I don't want to waste time.
Well, the fact is, you can get it started that way.
The House we can get passed very easily,
Okay,
and we
then
do.
do it. Then
But
do
the
it.
problem is the Senate, because we need 10 Democrats to vote,
No,
and
that's
they
not
won't
the
vote.
point, Mr. President. The point is that there are equities to be weighed. And we're here to have a conversation in a
Correct.
prayerful way, so I don't think we should have a debate in front of the press on this.
Pelosi, by the way, was vacationing in Hawaii during the shutdown in a lavish resort. Just look at that real quick. And by the way, still getting paid. Hawaii vacation. If you want to look into that, you can look into that.
But the fact is, the House Republicans could bring up this bill, if they had the votes, immediately and set the tone for what you want.
If we thought we were going to get it passed in the Senate, Nancy, we would do it immediately. We'd get it passed very easily in the House.
No, that's
We
not
would
the
get it, Nancy, I'd have it passed in 2 seconds. It doesn't matter, though, because we can't get it passed in the Senate because we need 10 Democrat votes.
Well,
That's the problem.
again, let us have our conversation, then we
That's
can
right.
meet with the press again. But the fact is that legislating, which is what we do,
Right.
you begin, you make your point, you state your case.
What do you guys think? You
That's
think
what the
they'll
House
accept
Republicans
that?
could do, if they had the votes. But there are no votes in the House, a majority of votes
Because it's
for
still
a
got the wall
wall,
included
no matter where you
with the
start.
Exactly right. You don't have
If I needed the votes for the wall in the House, I would have them in one session,
Well, then
would
go
be
do it.
done.
Go do it.
It doesn't help because we need 10 Democrats in
No,
the
don't put it
Senate.
on the Senate, put it on the negotiation.
Okay, let me ask you this, and we're doing this in a very friendly manner. It doesn't help for me to take a vote in the House where I will win easily with the Republicans.
not win.
It doesn't help to take that vote.
Here's what I want to say. We have a lot of disagreements here. The Washington Post today gave you a whole lot of Pinocchios because they say you constantly misstate how much the wall is built, how much of the wall is built, and how much is there. But that's not the point here. We have a disagreement about the wall,
Washington
whether
Post.
it's effective or not. Not on border security, but on the wall. We do not want to shut down the government. You have called 20 times to shut down the government. You say, I want to shut down the government. We don't. We want to come to an agreement. If we can't come to an agreement, we have solutions that will pass the House and Senate right now and will not shut down the government, and that's what we're urging you to do. Not threaten to shut down the government
You don't
because you,
wanna
let me
shut
just
down the
finish,
government, Chuck.
because you can't get
The
your
last
way.
time you shut it down, you got
let me
killed.
say something, Mr. President. You just say my way or we'll shut down the government. We have a proposal that Democrats and Republicans will support to do a CR that will not shut down the government. We urge you to take it.
And if it's not good border security, I
It
won't
is
take it.
very good border
And if it's
security.
not good border security, I won't take it.
It's what the
Because when
board.
you look at these numbers of the effectiveness of our border security, and when you look at the job that we're doing
You
with our
just said it is
military-
effective.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah, you just said it's
Without
effective.
a wall, these are only areas where you have the walls.
We wanna do
Where
this-
you have walls, Chuck, it's effective. Where you don't have
Wait a
walls,
second.
it is
Let's
not
call a halt
effective.
to this.
Yeah.
Let's call a halt to this. We've come in here as the first branch of government, Article 1, the legislative branch. We're coming in good faith to negotiate with you about how we can keep the government
Open.
We're going to keep it open if we have border security. If we don't have border security, Chuck,
I'm with you.
we're not going to keep it
I'm
open.
with you. We are going to have border security.
And it's the same board. You're bragging about what has been done.
By us.
We want to do the same thing we did last year, this year. That's our proposal. If it's good then, it's good now, and it won't shut down the government.
Chuck, we can build a
But that's
much
it.
bigger
Let's
section with more
debate.
money.
Let's debate in private. Okay? Yeah. Let's debate in
But it hasn't been good because there is a lot of crime at the border.
That is devoid, frankly, of fact, and we can.
We need
dispel
border
that.
security. I think we all agree that we
Cartels, man, they run the border.
need border security.
Yes,
Is that
we
right?
do.
Good.
We do.
See? We get along. Thank you, everybody.
You say border security and the wall. Can you have border security without the wall?
No, you need the wall. The wall is a part of border security.
What it means to have border security.
Yeah,
Yes.
we need border security. The wall is a part of border security. You can't have very good border security without the wall. No.
That's just really not true.
Just
That is a political promise. Border security is a way to effectively honor our responsibility.
The Democrats are not going to accept the wall. I just want to find just one video where Schumer Pelosi say no wall ever or something like that.
We've got Speaker Pelosi and Leader Schumer.
Just a few days, many federal workers will not be receiving their paychecks, and what that means in their lives is tragic in terms of their credit rating, paying their mortgage, paying their rent, paying their car payment, paying their children's tuition, and the rest. The president seems to be insensitive to that. He thinks maybe they could just ask their father for more money, but they can't. And
if I worked for the federal government, I feel for the people that work for the federal government who are feeling the hurt right now. But if I worked for the federal government and I knew that we are $21 trillion in debt, I would definitely be saving. I would have, I do that now. I have, I make sure I have extra money. I make sure that I have extra food that has shelf life so that, if for some reason my paycheck gets cut off or if there's a economic emergency, economic crisis, that I know I'm still going to be eating because I got my canned food, I got my freeze-dried food, got my water, got my filtration. $21 trillion in debt.
And we think that the collateral damage that he is causing I'm going to yield to the leader to talk about that, but I would say this. If you don't understand financial insecurity, then you would have a policy that takes pride in saying, I'm going to keep government shut down for months or years, unless you totally agree to my position. I yield to the leader.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the president just got up and walked out. He asked Speaker Pelosi, will you...
If he did keep it shut down for months and years, then there would definitely be riots, because just simply for the fact that the SNAP benefits, the food stamp benefits, a lot of people have become dependent on that to survive.
You agree to my wall? She said no. And he just got up and said, then we have nothing to discuss, and he just walked out. Again, we saw a temper tantrum because he couldn't get his way, and he just walked out of the meeting. I asked him to open up the government, that tomorrow so many people will have trouble paying their mortgages, paying their bills, dealing with situations when they don't get paid. And I said, just why won't you do that? We'll continue to discuss. We're willing to discuss anything. And he said, if I open up the government, you won't do what I want. That's cruel. That's callous. And that's using...
They just said no wall, but then they said they're willing to discuss anything.
Millions of innocent people as sort of pawns. And it was wrong. And then a few minutes later, he sort of slammed the table. And when Leader Pelosi said she didn't agree with the wall, he just walked out and said, we have nothing to discuss. So he said it was a waste of his time. That is sad and unfortunate. We want to come to an agreement. We believe in border security. We have different views. We've already offered the president our proposals, which has sat on his desk for several weeks. But this was really, really unfortunate, and in my judgment, somewhat unbecoming of a presidency.
Did he mention what is the breaking point, declare a national emergency? Did he say anything?
No, he didn't talk about that. But what I will say is that one of the obstacles that we have to an agreement is a stipulation of fact. What the president is claiming to be the situation at the border is not solved by a wall. And we all have been for border security. We take our oath to protect and defend the American people very seriously, and we have...
Counter-cycling? Takes the counter-cycling fiscal policy, reducing spending and raising taxes. It's the first time I've heard about that anime, but what exactly does that have to do though with what we're talking about the deal that Donald's trying to make? Fast, we evil. What's up, Fast? Essentially, the deal. Donald Trump has proposed a deal to the Democrats, which I'm not too sure if the Democrats will accept because it still includes a wall, but includes $800 million in humanitarian aid, $805 million, if I heard correctly, because I was talking over that part a little bit. So $805 million, I believe, is the number for anti-drug trafficking measures. An extension for those immigrants currently with temporary status. It's a 3-year extension, and I believe he said something along the lines of like a road to amnesty for DACA recipients, and also a policy about asylum for children, minors, who enter the country illegally, asylum in their own countries. So I'm guessing, I don't know, some kind of deal where they get sent back to their country and just have like a protected status. I'm not too sure, you know, like he was only talking for like 20 minutes. He didn't answer any questions. So it's kind of hazy, you know, like I get a general sense of what he's offering, and from what it sounds like, it seems like he is trying to compromise a bit, but again, the wall is included in that deal, you know, we're just looking at this video where Pelosi had told Trump no to the wall, and he had stormed out of that meeting. This was a video from like a week ago, though. I just want to see the rest of this, what they have to say.
Suggestions about how we can do it better than a wall in recognition of what the challenge is there.
Yeah, I meant like personal savings. Like, you know, I feel like everyone should have a stash of shelf-stable food, canned food, freeze-dried food, water filtration, other things, you know, physical protection in case of any kind of crisis. Like, for example, if the shutdown continues till February, the SNAP benefits, the food benefits will be cut off, and then millions of people who depend on those benefits, they won't have anything to eat. And they're going to be very desperate, and, you know, some of them are going to do whatever they need to do to eat. Let's see how many people. How many SNAP recipients? USA. How many Americans on food stamps? 2017, 42 million Americans, and you know, people all over the country. There's people all over the country that take these benefits. And actually, there's a video that I was looking at related to what I'm talking about now, about preparing and the whole situation with the shutdown and SNAP benefits. I'll be talking about that tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Sunday morning show. Let's get back to this video.
From immigration and drugs, etc., coming into our country. And so that's what's sad. And so I said to him, Mr. President, the evidence of what's happening there does not support the crisis that you describe, and therefore the solution you suggest, because we have a better idea of how to keep our country safe, and it isn't a wall.
Madam Speaker, what is the breaking point? Madam Speaker, what is the breaking point? What is the breaking point for you?
Before you ask more questions, I want to make a point. This is not a partisan difference. This is a policy difference. And I suggested in the White House, in the Situation Room, in the last meeting, that every time we have a policy difference, shutting down the government is the wrong thing to do. It is taking hostages to accomplish your objective and hurting people in the process. Now, I've got a list here of 6 senators and the chairman of the Homeland Security Committee in the House of Representatives. I'm only going to read you one. Michael McCall from the state of Texas. You have to understand, too, that a 30-foot concrete wall is a very expensive proposition. And there are a lot of other things we can be doing technology-wise to make it a smart border.
And, well, I had either read or saw in a different video that they were saying that somebody was saying that most illegal immigrants, they're not coming over the southern border. They come in legally through like a travel visa, tourist visa, whatever, work visa, but then they just overstay their visa, and that's how they get here basically. So that's one thing that they could do is police that better, and just improve the court system to make legal immigration easier. Those two things would be, I think, better, more cost effective. Also, I'm for bringing the troops home. We need less foreign entanglement. If we need people securing the border, why not take the military and station them at the southern border to defend the country?
That's more effective and cost efficient. That's Michael McCall, Republican chairman of the Homeland Security Committee in the House of Representatives. This is not a partisan difference, this is a policy difference. And it is unacceptable to put 800,000 people at risk, 38 million people on...
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. Are you from Canada, Anime?
Food stamps, millions of people who are expecting to get a refund on their taxes, people who want to use the national parks, people who want to get farm...
You know what I just learned? Canada has a higher GDP than Russia, which is real interesting when you think about all like the Russia collusion investigation, everything like that. But I did see a video today that was talking about like how Trump has been like basically dealing with the Russians and talking to the Russians since the 80s, and that since the 80s also Trump has been very closely linked to the White House, and he had some big political aspirations even as young as 32 years old, so there's some arguments that the things he's doing now he's been thinking about for like 35 years or something like that.
Assistance in the Farm Bill. That is why we have 4 bills on the floor that we're going to send to the United States Senate. Now I want to read you one more quote. Of course not. When asked, you think you ought to shut down government? Of course not, he said. Remember me? I am the guy that gets us out of shutdowns. It's a failed policy. Mitch McConnell, 2014, CNN.
Senator,
It is a failed policy, and we ought to stop it.
Is there any hope? Madam Speaker, is there any...
All these politicians, they flip-flop all the time. What are people saying? I wish he allowed some questions. Where are the, they're watching it on NBC. Let's see. The live coverage. Where's the live coverage? I don't care about the Women's March right now. This is what we're talking about right now? No. What's a good live news source right now? Yeah, I'm trying to find some Democrat commentary on this speech. Let me see. What is, maybe Pelosi tweeted something? 47 minutes ago, Democrats were hopeful that Trump was finally willing to reopen. Can you guys see that? Democrats were hopeful that Trump was finally willing to reopen government and proceed with a much-needed discussion to protect the border. Unfortunately, reports make clear that this proposal is a compilation of previously rejected initiatives. So wait, she got access to the proposal before he said anything? That's not everything he said, though. What is this that they're trying to say? All right, let me see Schumer. Did he say anything? All right, I guess. Let's see what's going on CNN, I guess.
We should be on the air at 6 o'clock as...
Where's the live feeds? Where's my live news, everybody? Everybody's talking about the Women's March.
Hey, Daryl, would you choose the network rated #1 in the nation by the experts or the one awarded by the people? Correct. You don't have to choose because...
Oh, switch to the network awarded by Root Metrics and JD Power. Buy one of our best phones, get one on us.
So I had to just switch it to... Whoa, what is going on? There's like nothing alive right now. This is business. What is going on here? Alright, I think...
Good evening. We had intended to speak at the top of this program with one of two BuzzFeed reporters behind a report that, if true, meant that federal investment...
Oh, that's a BuzzFeed shit. Wait, something's premiering now, though? Why does it say premiering now?
Good evening. We had intended to speak at the top of this program with one of two BuzzFeed...
I think we're going to have to pick up this conversation tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., the Sunday morning show. Any last comments? Yeah, I don't know if what Pelosi tweeted even is referring to what Trump was saying, because Trump was saying all kinds of different, all kinds of stuff on there. I guess we got to give the news cycle a couple seconds to process everything. My conclusion is that, it seems like progress in the deal making there. From what I heard, I don't fully understand the whole DACA thing. But, at least for a few thousand of the DACA recipients, Trump seems to be wants to start that process of legalizing them. $800 million for a humanitarian crisis. That's quite a good amount of money. Already a lot has been spent. What? Refugee costs $8.8 billion. What? Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Wait. Okay, Pacific Standard Time. Are you in Canada or the United States? Yeah, I know it's an early time, and Sunday most people don't get up anyway. Like, I typically wouldn't either, but I don't know. It just fits in good with my schedule. It fits in well with my schedule to just do that, and then I just I just upload the video to YouTube, and YouTube is where I get more of my views. for the show. But what does this say? 8.8 billion. What is this about? The 5-year price tag, $8.8 billion in federal and state costs on nearly $880,000 per refugee. Oh, 80,000 refugees. On a yearly average, it's 1.8 billion, or 15,000 per refugee. That is nearly 5 times the pay for a private in the army. What's more, 50% of refugees remain on Medicaid for 5 years. Most of this cohort arrives here without financial resources, with the U.S. accepting lower refugee numbers under Trump. There are still millions in need. The U.S. has admitted 3.5 million people since 1980. 96,000 between 2016 and 2017. Oh, man. So, I don't know. Maybe $800 million is not that much for humanitarian aid, but at the same time, man, it's like enough people are suffering in the United States, but then to pay $80,000 per immigrant? I mean, come on, man. I mean, we're talking about the United States, okay? You know, back when everybody used to come in through Ellis Island, you didn't get, you know, immigrants didn't get shit. You had to just come here and, you know, pick up yourself by your bootstraps and make something happen, basically. And we're $21 trillion in debt now, so, you know, we can't really afford all this stuff. We got to start cutting spending. But anyways. Daddy Trump, how you doing? How you doing, real? Trump made a deal that seems to compromise with the Democrats. Still includes the wall, so we'll have to wait and see if the Democrats accept it. You know, as recently as last week, Pelosi said to Trump in a private meeting, no, there won't be a wall. And that was kind of the sense I got from everything that's led up to today, is that, you know, they've been pretty adamant about not having the wall. Just because, and you know why that is, though? It's because the wall really is a symbolic thing. So, you know, it's become representative of the entire Republican Party. And, like, as partisan as our country has become, you know, like, our country has become so partisan. So, I'm sure the Democratic base would be very upset if they accepted a wall and no matter what else. No matter, like Trump could say, I'm giving every immigrant a Rolls Royce, but there's still going to be a wall. And, you know, I don't know, people will still be upset about it. But, you know, I personally don't think we need a wall. We need just more officers down there. We can bring troops home and station them in the southern border. Most immigrants come into this country by overstaying their visas, so enforcement in that area, and, you know, just improving the court system so that there's an easier path to citizenship are all things that can be done before the wall. But the thing is, he campaigned on the wall, like, you know, like that was basically like his campaign slogan right after Make America Great Again is build the wall. Like, that's the #2 slogan for Trump. So that's why you know, the Democrats have been stonewalling there, even though Democrats like Schumer have in the past spoken in favor of building a wall. So, you know, it's all politics. It's just, you know, oh, my team is better than yours, red versus blue. So, you know, you got to analyze both sides and see, you know, where everything falls in the middle. Right. Yeah, I read a joke somewhere that said, what if Mexico started building stairs at the southern border? You know, And these cartels, they always find a way. They dig tunnels and all that. Trump really should start with the CIA and crack down on them, audit them, because they help smuggle the drugs and the weapons. Looking back at Fast and Furious, ATF. Gun walking, or letting guns walk, was a tactic of the Arizona Field Office of United States ATF, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, which ran a series of sting operations between 2006 and 2011 in the Tucson and Phoenix area, where the ATF purposely allowed licensed firearm dealers to sell weapons to illegal straw buyers, hoping to track the guns to Mexican drug cartel leaders and arrest them. Yeah, right. And some people got killed. Some officers got killed. Like, this is so dumb. It's so dumb. So this shit happens all the time, and then this is how they cover it up. But that's how they make their money. But anyway, thank you everybody who tuned into this impromptu stream covering the press conference. I will be back here tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern time, for the Sunday morning show. If that's too early for you, no problem. You can head over to youtube.com/the MC Faceman. Subscribe there. Hit the notification bell. I upload videos just like this one. I'm going to upload it to YouTube so that you can watch it at your leisure. Take it easy. Also, you can follow me on Twitter. The MC Faceman on Twitter. Do I want the wall? No, I don't think the wall is really necessary. I already mentioned a bunch of things that Trump could be doing before even thinking about doing a wall. And the more I really look into things, I think it's like the wall is not meant to keep people out, but to keep people in the country. Because, there are foreign forces that would love to see America, our system, our constitution, our government dismantled. We are the freest country in the world, and you have entities like the UN that want to consolidate control, just like with the European Union. And there actually already is a North American Union. If you go back to the Bush era, they actually talk about that, and I'm not going to go start pulling it up because then I'll just be sitting here even longer. Diving into things. I could be diving into it all day. So, we looked at the conference. I'm going to upload this to YouTube. Follow me on YouTube and Twitter, the MC Faceman. Thank you for tuning in. I very much appreciate it. Definitely appreciate all those that chatted into the chat. Real, Anime, Fast, Ziggy, thank you all for coming in and saying hi and chatting with me. It is very complicated anime. We're trying to figure this all out, and that's the only way to figure it all out is by you just got to research. And unfortunately, there's so many things we have to do to just keep food on our table. But it's important to know what's going on in the world so that you're not, so that you're prepared for whatever could happen. Because, if you study history, a lot of crazy stuff happened throughout history, and history does tend to repeat itself. All right, so I am Faceman, and this was an impromptu stream, and I'll be here tomorrow, 10 a.m., twitch.tv/the MC Faceman for the Sunday morning show. Take care and have a great rest of your Saturday. Bye-bye.